Okay, 2.9. This is actually a good section. This the New Year little vacation break because this is really kind of an easy section. Okay, it's all about orders of operations again, and most of this section is tells us about the common mistakes being made. Again, they emphasize that anything in parentheses must be done first before um, any other operation. So parentheses or sometimes other mathematical symbols like square rooting, absolute value, that type of thing must be done first. Also, this section emphasizes that you cannot split up division during sums. And we'll get to this. When you have a numerator that you're adding x plus 2 and you're dividing it by 2, you can't just cancel out twos. You have to do the summation first, and we'll go through that. Okay, so the first thing here is we got a little table, and they want us to complete and fill it out with what operation and or object. Actually, again, they make this a little more confusing than what it should be, but we'll go ahead and fill it out. So it actually, the better way to do this is, hey, how do I get from this one to this one? And what's the operation instead of going left to right? Um, so I'm going to start with the middle column. They give us the numbers 4 and 2/5. And actually, in this column, we're adding the two together, 4 and 2/5. So the operation's addition. Now here we're given the numbers 8 and 9. The expression 8/9, we're using division here. And that's what I mean by it's easier to go from middle column here and describing the operation. Okay, so the object here is what's inside the absolute values is -10 is the actual number. Okay. Um, these are a little different. They're trying to, again, be tricky here. It's the same operation for these two. Again, here we have the number -8. Here we have the number +8. And this, if we actually multiply this out, this is, remember, we're taking -8 times -8, which gives us +64. Here we're taking 8 squared, which is 64, then multiplying it by negative. So we actually get -64. We're emphasizing the parentheses here. It does make a difference. Okay, multiplication. Here we have 2, comma, the quantity x plus y. And when we put that 2 in front of it, we have multiplication. You would use the distributive property. Here we have a and b. We're actually dividing by 2. So here we have division. Here we have a plus b and 2. Again, it's division. Here we have a divided by 2 plus b divided by 2. And the object was a. So again, we're having it or dividing. It looks like we're going to division out here. This is the exact same problem. So I'm not sure what their division, a over 2 plus b over 2. I think it's just a misprint. Okay, so again, they're making things a lot more complicated than what it should be. Here they talk about, not putting, they're using English, trying to compare English and mathematics, the grammar. And for example, if you don't use commas the right way, You get two completely different meanings. For example, I like cooking my family and my dog. Well, of course you don't like cooking your dog. So if you put the commas in there, I like cooking, comma, my family, comma, and my dog. It makes a huge difference. Okay, that's all they're just saying about parentheses in mathematics. All right, here again, they go through a whole long way, confusing way of the distribution property. Here we talked about order of operations when we're squaring 8 and then taking a negative, or if we're squaring the number -8. So I'm not going to go through all this. You've been hounded on this since probably seventh grade. This is a very common mistake, though. So let's hit this up. If I have this 4x plus 1 over 4, many students will cancel out the 4's and say, hey, my answer is x plus 1. That is wrong. And I still have students to this day that do that. It's just habit forming because we like to cancel out numbers. This is actually 4x plus 1. And this is what I was talking about at the beginning. This is a summation. Okay. You cannot, the first thing that you guys should do is whenever you see a numerator where you have two terms, lock it in because you can't do that operation. You can't divide until you do that operations. That's it. You could split this up. If somebody asks you, well, can you simplify it any further? Technically, you can. You can take that 4x term divided by 4, and you can take that one term and divide it by 4. Now, since you have one term in the numerator, you can simplify this and take the 4 out, and that's how they get that x plus 1/4. Technically, it's the same thing, unless you were actually being tested on separating this out. I wouldn't do it because you're just asking for the common mistake. Nowhere in real life are you going to be required to separate that. Unless, of course, it's on quiz. Okay, let's do a couple of more of those practice ones like that. We could be very technical and simplify this by splitting it up. 7x divided by 7. There's a plus sign there, so plus 7 divided by 7. Now we can cancel out since we have one term. And actually, these 7's cancel out. So we get x over 1, or just x, plus anything over itself is 1. You can do that with subtraction too. X over 7 minus 7 over 7. This time there's no coefficient in the first one, but these will cancel out to 1. So the only way you can simplify this is have x over 7, nothing cancel out, minus 1. In C, there's a negative sign there. You could, let's see, again, that can go, when it's out in front of a fraction, it can go up top or up bottom. So we don't have to distribute it, let's just put it in the bottom, -7. And then we have x minus 7. Split it up, x over -7 minus minus 7 over -7. I have x over -7. These cancel out to a +1. And then the whole, you could also put that on the bottom, and the summation. In this case, subtraction is nothing more than a summation of a negative number. It could be in the denominator, but you think you could split this up, 2 over a plus 2 over b. You think that would be okay to do since you did it when it was in the numerator, but you can't, because think about it, a and b are different numbers, so you can't split it up. Okay, you can't split it up. They're different numbers. A and b are different numbers. Now, let me show you. If it was 2 over 2 plus 4 over b, the same number, then you can split it up. Because you have two different numbers, you can't. Here's another common mistake. Again, this was all about more of common mistakes. Many times I'll see students say, I have the quantity a plus b squared, and I have a squared plus b. Once in a while, I'll come across this. Some students say, hey, I'll just distribute that too, and I got a squared plus b squared. This is wrong. Okay. This is the quantity a, use an x, a plus b times a plus b. We all know what happens when you have a binomial times a binomial. You always get a middle term to combine. Okay, so in actuality, this is a squared plus, I'm going to put the a first, 2ab plus b squared. When you distribute that exponent of 2, that's not a coefficient, it's an exponent, you forget that middle term. Another, like I said, another kind of common mistake. All right, and I think that's it for this section. Oh no, we have some evaluations. Just this should be reviewed. I think we did this in a previous section. Here we have some expressions, and we have an actual number for our variable, and they want us to evaluate this. So all we're going to do is substitute in wherever you see a variable, you're going to substitute in 5 for that variable. And again, I think I stressed this too in the other section. Please put parentheses where that n is. So here I have 5, and then just follow your order of operations. Parentheses first, nothing to do with the 5. Exponents squared, so I have 3 times 25 minus 2. Multiplications next, 75 minus 2. Answer 73. Okay, here I have 2, my n minus 1 divided by 3. We're going to substitute in 5 for n. Go ahead and follow our order of operations. Nothing to do with the innermost parentheses. So next, these parentheses, 5 minus 1 is 4. So 4 divided by 3. So I have 2 times 4, 8 divided by 3. That's it for our notes. And you're ready for the homework.